Well, I really thought if the Packers lost, I'd be a lot more upset in this video than I am. But I don't know. I think I got a lot of the upsetness out in the first half of that game. But my initial reaction to this is this is the most like Packers playoff loss you can think of. If you told me to take every one of the Packers playoff losses over the last decade or so and put them into one game, if you told me to sum it all up in one game, this would be the game I'd give it to you. Because Aaron Rodgers, and especially in the second half, was spectacular. Davante Adams had himself a hell of a game, and he sent Richard Sherman into the spin cycle on that one deep throw. And Aaron Jones is pretty solid, too. 200-plus rushing yards, 280-plus rushing yards for the 49ers offense. It's like every time we hit a roadblock like this, every single time, it's the defense giving up an absurd amount of points. And there are, some outliers like the 2015 the 2015 divisional or the 2014 NFC Championship, but for the vast majority of the times that we have gotten stopped or hit a roadblock in the playoffs, it's because of games like this. You can't stop the run, and it was embarrassing how much the 49ers didn't have to throw the ball in this game. Garoppolo attempted maybe 10 passes, maybe even less than that. And they won by 17 points, 3 possessions, without Garoppolo attempting more than 10 passes in this game. That's how embarrassing it was for our defense. And let me say this, okay? Let me say this. I know a lot of you are really emotional and probably really, really upset about the defensive performance, and you're going to want to find some sort of, conclusion to why this happened. You're going to want to say, the game plan defensively was horrible. We should fire Mike Pettin. Let me tell you right now, they shouldn't fire Mike Pettin. You know why? Because when I watched this game, the Packers were literally overmatched beyond imagination. The 49ers offensive front pushed the Packers defensive front at least 2 to 3 yards off the line of scrimmage at the snap. There was no chance the Packers had at stopping the run because the 49ers were just that dominant. It's like I don't think Mike Pettin coached a good game by any means. I certainly don't. But when it gets to a point like that, it's just like, what else do you want him to do? What else do you want him to do when the defensive front is getting absolutely obliterated? That it was embarrassing. And anytime the Packers, tried to put anybody in the box or try to load up against the run, the 49ers were just audible into some, end around at Deebo Samuel and it'd be 20 yards. I mean, and the Packers don't have anybody defensively, especially at the linebacker position, to stop that. Blake Martinez looked like a 10-year-old child in this game. He looked like nothing. He might as well not even been on the field for this game. And that's why the Packers need to upgrade that position, because he's not good enough. I don't think Blake Martinez is a bad football player, but when you get into games like this, you need a difference maker at that position, and Blake Martinez is not a difference maker for this Packers defense. He's not. He is a guy who can fill space and get tackles, 4 or 5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, and that's where he gets the majority of his tackles. He's not a guy who's going to come up and, pop you at the line of scrimmage. He's going to be a guy who's the second line of defense. And when you want a difference maker at linebacker, you have to have a guy who's going to be physical, who can be fast, who can make plays. Blake Martinez was on the other side of the damn field when Deebo Samuel was taking those end arounds. He was on the other side of the damn field. That is the biggest, in my opinion, that's probably the biggest reason why the Packers look so woeful, aside from the fact that the defensive front was literally getting pushed yards off the line of scrimmage. And like I said, I'm not blaming Mike Pettin for, I'm not leaving him outside of blame. I don't think that he necessarily had much of a game plan at all to stop that. But it's like, at that point, it's like, well, I guess what do you want him to do with Blake Martinez at linebacker, a guy that damn slow who has no idea what the hell he's doing? He's not a difference maker. But back to the game here, back to the rest of the game. The second half, I'm not saying that it was anywhere near the Packers' offense's fault, and I think that they actually looked really good in the second half. But I want to know why that wasn't the plan to start the game. Like, why do the Packers always get into this, like, oh damn, we're down 20 points, time to play with some urgency, and then they always end up scoring points like that? Why don't you start the game like that? Why don't the Packers start the game with the idea in mind to get the ball to your playmaker and get the ball out of Rodgers' hands and let him make plays? I mean, it's like, why wasn't that the game plan to start? Why was what the Packers were doing in the second half not the game plan to start? And don't give me the bullshit that, oh, they're playing garbage time defense. It doesn't matter. Richard Sherman got absolutely cooked by Davante Adams on that deep throw on, like, third down. He got absolutely cooked. It was like Davante made him look like nothing on that play. They were trying. They were legitimately trying. I think the 49ers defense wanted to make a serious statement. And the Packers, obviously the 49ers still going to the Super Bowl, but the Packers, they made it a game in the second half because of their offensive strategy. And, the defense was just so bad it didn't matter. But, it's like they were making plays. Rodgers was making plays. Jones was making plays. Davante was making plays. These guys were making plays, and the defense just couldn't pick them up. So why wasn't that the game plan to start? Why wasn't the game plan to, go fast with some urgency, with some tempo, out to start with the game? Where was that? It was non-existent. So, God damn. Like I said at the beginning of the video, though, I mean, like, I'm honestly surprised at how little I'm, like, I think I got most of the pissed offness out in the first half. And, like, in the second half, I was just kind of sitting there, like, I was actually, I wish I could watch more sporting events like that. I wish I didn't have to be, shivering and shaking before the game. I wish I could just, like, have that relaxed nature, going into the game, like I did in the second half here. But it was like every time the Packers made a play, I'm like, oh, that's a nice play. I like it. And then they scored a touchdown. I'm like, oh, damn, touchdown, let's go, But I had, like, no nerves at all in the second half because I was guaranteed that I knew the Packers are going to lose. But it's just like, I don't know. That was really weird. I wish I could watch more games like that, but, it's just my own self-delusion into thinking that that my team would actually make it to the final round of a league. Like, you look back, since the Packers' 2010 NFC Championship win, the Packers have gone 0-3 in the semifinal round. The Brewers have gone 0-2. The Bucks gone 0-1. Then you look at the Badgers basketball team, who made it to the Final Four one year, lost there. They did beat the Kentucky Wildcats the year after that, but they still lost in the championship. And then you look at the Badgers football team. They've lost how many damn Big Ten championship games when they had a chance to go to the playoff? Like, it's just, I got to stop expecting that. I got to stop getting my hopes up. But, with that being said, I still think this team it's certainly not over from here. I mean, the Packers have a lot of pieces to build around with this team. And the way I see it last offseason was, you're not gonna fill every hole on a team in one offseason. The Packers had a lot of holes last season. They went 6-9-1. They missed the playoffs. They had a lot of holes, but they filled some of those holes. They got a good coach. They got some defensive impact players. It wasn't enough this year because they just ran into a team that was just that much better than them. But those holes can be fixed this year. They can seriously be fixed. You get a linebacker who can actually cover a damn tight end or do anything besides take up space in the middle of the field, or you get some wide receivers that, other than Adams, that can actually make plays and get open. Like, where the hell was MVS the second half of this year? He never did a damn thing with this team after, maybe week 7 or something. His name's literally never called. Allen Lazard actually looks pretty decent, but he's not a number 2 receiver. The Packers have to upgrade in a lot of areas, and they've got a chance to do that this offseason. I mean, they've got some draft capital that they could trade. They could also use that draft capital to draft some playmakers, and this is a really really deep linebacker and receiving draft. You know, this is a legitimate. This is a draft where there's a lot of things the Packers can go and get, and that a lot of guys that could bring in and actually make an impact, you know, right away. But with that being said, you know, my final thoughts on the season. It was a fun ride at times. It was a frustrating ride at times, and it ended in a really, really disappointing fashion. And I really, really hate having to say that about teams that I root for, but it's not over yet with this Packers team. There's still a lot of things that they can get better at and that they will get better at next year, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, but, you know, the fact that they went 13-3, won a division with a rookie head coach after, you know, they weren't even picked to finish top 3 by some people in their own division coming into the year. They still got Aaron Rodgers, who has proven that he still has some magic in the back of his pocket, as evidenced by the last 2 games of the season, especially in the second half of the Seahawks and the 49ers game. So, if you want my personal opinion, you know, it's not over yet, and it was a pretty impressive season it was a pretty impressive season, you know, all things considered. So, I'll leave it at that. You know, I'll probably have some videos coming out about the Packers and other offseason, what they should do going forward. But until then, guys, thanks for watching my videos. Thank you so much for watching my videos, reacting to these games with me, because, you know, without this Packers team right now, you know, I wouldn't have all of you guys. You know, a lot of you are here for the Packers, and the Packers, you know, in their season this year are what almost kind of put this channel on the map. So without you guys, I'm nothing. So thank you for, you know, being here and listening to my opinions and, you know, staying with me for the ride. And let me tell you, I'll make a guarantee. We're going to be back here next year. I don't know if we're going to win the Super Bowl next year or not, but we're going to be back here, and we're going to be a better team than this time. That's all I'll say. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Go Pat, go always.